Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Alf and welcome to the Workloft live show. A little bit about me if you're not familiar with myself. So 20 odd years in tech, places like IBM, Vimeo, and a while back around the time that OpenClaw was released, I became an agentic builder. And here's the twist, I don't really write code. I direct AI agents that do so. So this channel is for you if you're thinking about getting into this stuff, and it's pointed directly at the UK, Ireland, and the EU. Most of what's out there in the world, across YouTube, across platforms, assumes you're in San Francisco. The rules over here are very different, and that difference matters. So that is why I've set this up. My setup is deliberately small. One server I own, 8 AI agents, all run through one tool. No team, no big cloud platform, no pile of software subscriptions. One human, 8 agents, one machine, and you'll see the whole thing running before the end of the show today. So if you get something out of this show, if you get something out of the next couple of minutes with me today, if you get anything out of this at all, please do like and subscribe. It really helps. Everything that I do is at workloft.ai. You can see my website on the screen right there. Oh, it looks nice. It looks real nice. Right, so 4 stories that we're going to cover this week. And they all point at the same thing, what it actually takes to own your AI setup. So let's get into that this evening. First up, and this is all about GLM 5.2. So a giant new AI model came out of China, free for anyone to download, and the internet went, great, you know, that's awesome. Now we don't need to depend on the big American companies anymore. Independence, all that good stuff. And what actually happened, yes, you can download it, that's absolutely possible, but the thing is absolutely enormous. To actually run it yourself, you'd need a rack of specialist computers that cost about as much as a house. So free to download and free to run are 2 very different sentences. Almost everyone using it is still renting it from someone else's computer. The dependency didn't go away, it just moved to something else. So why this matters for builders. Open is a door being unlocked, not a thing being delivered to your house. It's an option to walk through when you can afford to, not independence by default. Treat it as a choice you might make later, not a box you've already ticked. And what this all is about, open weights are a sovereignty option, not a sovereignty default. For me personally, I was very, very keen to get involved in GLM 5.2. It doesn't quite make sense for me because I don't have the hardware to run it. And that ties straight into my own setup, because the agent that picks which model to use for each job, mine's called Ruby. She is my open router agent. She already chooses an open model when it makes sense and a paid one when it's worth it. The point isn't open good, paid bad. It's that you decide per job with your eyes open. Story number 2 from the last couple of weeks from a Workloft perspective. The whole conversation about AI cost is about the model, right? Which model is cheapest per word? Who dropped their prices this week? And what we actually found when we measured one of our own jobs end to end is that the model itself was the cheap part. all the stuff around it, you know, the back and forth, the my time, the setup, the plumbing, that makes the model useful, that cost more than the actual model did. The engine was cheap, the wrapper around it was expensive. And why this matters for builders: everyone shops for the cheapest model and then loses all the savings to the machinery around it that nobody's looking at. If you only watch the headline price, you are watching the wrong number. The model was never the expensive bit, the glue was. So think about these things as you do tasks and you run these AI models. How much is it costing you to run the model? How much is it costing you to enable the running of the model? Story number 3. An agent on a box you own. So this one is fresh off the bench today, and it's the heart of this episode. No live demo, I'll just walk you through it on the page. So what we do, instead of selling people a login to our software, right, we give each person their own AI agent on their own server, on their own account. Now, when we think about this stuff, I do get a lot of people come to me and they're asking for things to be built, websites, tools. I see these as like short-term things, right? And I do try and sway all of my clients to think broader and bigger, and to say, instead of relying on me to make that tool or make that software or build that website, let's get you running with your own agent that can do it for you, right? So we've started to shift slightly here at Workloft AI and started to build actual agents for people who want them, depending on what they're trying to do. So one I built runs a small studio's bookings and inquiries, so event spaces. Another is a personal assistant for a busy household. They talk to it over a normal messaging app, Telegram, you know, by text, by voice note. And here's the bit I like. When they send a voice note, it gets turned into text on its own machine. Nothing personal gets shipped off to some third party. A voice note can be private, so it stays on the box that belongs to the owner. Absolutely massive. So instead of using these platforms that are hosted wherever, is anyone even looking at where the data is hosted? I doubt it. They actually own the data on their own box. My camera's being a little bit glitchy there. There we go, let's fix it. Now the serious part. The moment you give someone an always-on assistant wired into their stuff, the computer it lives on becomes a target. There's malware doing the rounds right now that goes hunting specifically for the keys and logins that AI tools use. So today, I went over both machines and locked them down. I used my agent, Bob, to go and lock down these 2 VPSs that I set up for these 2 individuals. Password logins turned off, so the only way is a key I hold, a firewall up, and an auto blocker that bans anyone who keeps knocking. Now for the honest bit. One of the 2 boxes still had password login switched on. An old default nobody had actually turned off. We caught it and killed it today as well. So why this matters for builders, if you are out there and you're intrigued about this stuff. An agent on a box you own beats a login to someone else's software, because it's got a real computer underneath it and your data stays on kit you control. But the unglamorous half nobody markets is this: building the box and locking the box are 2 very different jobs, and the defaults are not safe. I will say that again: building the box and locking the box are very different jobs. Excuse me, got a little bit of a niggly cough this evening. You've got to do both: build the box and lock the box. Two different jobs. Story number 4. Again, these are all on Workloft.ai. My camera is just being a little glitchy this evening. So this is about voting, and the common trick to make a small, cheap model more reliable. People ask it the same question lots of times and take the majority answer. Vote on it, basically. So what we found, voting just asks the same slightly flawed brain, the same question over and over. It's expensive and it doesn't really fix the thinking. When instead, we wrote the method into the instructions, taught the cheap model how to approach the problem step by step. It hit a perfect score. It beat a top-tier expensive model at about a third of the cost. The honest caveat, it is delicate. A run of a couple of weeks back, same idea, landed at 92.5, not 100. So it's a real lever, but it still rides on getting that one set of instructions right. And why this matters for you out there who are listening to this. Throwing more money and more repeats at a problem feels like progress, and it actually usually isn't. Teaching the model how to think about the job is cheaper and works better when you can pull it off. Voting asks the same brain twice. Teaching gives it a better one. And again, that's my router Ruby's whole job. This is through OpenRouter. Use the cheap model where a cheap model taught properly is genuinely good enough, and only reach for the expensive one when the stakes need it. Camera glitchy this evening. Sorry about that. So now I'm going to show you my fleet in action. Where did that music go? There we go. Right, so I can very easily come in here and hit show fleet, hit enter, and this is what I'm talking about. So this is the bit that I really want everyone to see, because it's the whole setup running live. 1 human, me, 8 agents, 1 machine. Let me scroll through it. So first up is the actual team itself, 8 agents, each with a job. There's Bob, which is my main guy, named after Bob Dylan, the one that runs the show and does all the building. Larry, after Larry David, does anything that needs a web browser. Walter White, of course, does the heavy, repetitive grunt work. Maggie, who I didn't actually name after anyone specifically, Bob actually named Maggie, so I just kind of went with it. She handles outreach. Gary keeps the to-do list. Ruby, who we've already talked about, picks which model to use. Kit is kept completely separate from my day job. And Vera is the quality checker, a panel of judges that grades the work of the others. 8 agents, 1 human, me, Uncle Alfred. Vera is become an absolute beast for me, because we're always iterating, we're always trying to make things a little bit better within the stack, and Vera is one that we've really improved recently, just through iterating and making it a little bit more powerful here and there. So we're always trying to grade the quality of the outputs, and then we're learning from the mistakes that are being made. Very important. Number 2, a record of everything. So every single thing an agent does gets written down before it does it, and you can't edit the record afterwards. About 1,000 actions a day, and the total bill is under £1. Let me say that again. About 1,000 actions a day, and the total bill is under £1. Why does that matter? If anything ever goes wrong, I can say exactly what touched it and undo it. Most people running AI agents cannot tell you that. Number 3, this is the log. It is the running list. Time, which agent did it, what it cost, and this is the good bit, what set it off. Every action has a name and a cause on the record. Number 4, the bill broken down. Every job costed. You can't tell what each agent costs you per task. You can't run a business on top of them. I can. I'll repeat that. If you can't tell what each agent costs you per task, you can't run a business on top of them. And we absolutely can do that. Number 5, the keys are locked away. All the logins and keys are under management, and the tool physically will not print them on screen, which is exactly why I can show you all this live. And that ties straight back to today's story. An agent's identity is a target now, so you need to treat it like one. Number 6, picking the right model. This is Ruby. Ruby's been star of the show today. Choosing the right model for each job and falling back to another supplier if one's down. Cheap models for cheap jobs, the big guns only when it's worth it. The setup decides, not the salesperson. The model is never the risk surface. The substrate is. Identity, provenance, context. In plain English, get 3 things right. Number 1, who the agent is, whether you can prove what it did, and what it had in front of it. And the model itself can be as clever or as daft as you like. Now we're going to go back to my Workloft website, which is where I aggregate and consolidate all of my work. This is where it all gets published. This is Workloft AI. It's where everything you've seen today lives. And you'll see on the top here, the loop. I'm going to click into it. And this is where it gets real nice. So I've got a little flow chart here of how it works. And I've got a nice guide here. Sorry, my camera is just being so glitchy this evening. I apologize for that. So, first off, loop. What we do is we research. We aggregate all of the latest research, that we scrape the research that's out there, and we write papers, our take on that story. We ship what we like. So we take from that research what we like. It's everything that we've built. It's 60 odd now, 60 odd builds. The agents scrape the best research from across the internet. We build whatever makes us faster, stronger, more secure, cheaper. And then we write it up. GitHub, it's all open source. Take it for free if you want, and we post it across all of our socials. Research, build, publish on repeat. That is the Workloft loop. There's also a free key for our labs. So I'm going to go to our lab section. Here is Workloft Labs, and we can scroll down here and you'll see here is the key. Get a free key. Feel free to get a free key. Daily research, if you want to take advantage, it is absolutely all there for you. Everything you've seen is written up on the site. Links are below, and there's a free key, as I said, if you want to have a poke around. I'll leave you with the question I'm sitting with. Where's the weak spot in your own setup? Because that's where it goes wrong first. See you next time.